My story is one of how profound loss in my life was restored through my personal relationship with Jesus and how he sustained me through some of life's darkest times. Life was normal for most of my teen years until the day my younger sister, who was 14 at the time, was diagnosed with leukemia. And it was quite a devastating diagnosis for our family. We hoped and prayed that it would all work out. And one night I was in my room and she had had a relapse after being in remission for a number of months. And I was just praying against my bed, and I felt the presence of Jesus for the first time in the room behind me. And I couldn't even turn around, but I just heard the words, "It will be all right." To me, "it'll be all right" meant she would be healed. And as I still was growing in my faith and understanding what truly, surrendering meant. And, but it was quite a moment. And I just felt that was the time I really, Jesus said to me, "Will you trust me?" And I said, "I will." And 3 days later, she passed away. And it was okay, but I remember that moment, and I'll remember those feelings, and I just thought, okay, here we go, and I know you'll be with me to carry me through. And God led me to do some work with bereaved families of Ontario as I worked through my grief. But my parents didn't fare as well, unfortunately, for the next few years. After my sister passed, I was married a year later, and it was kind of a hard way for my husband and I to start out our married life under, that kind of grief veil that was over our family. But life was moving forward. It was tough, but we did it. But I was worried about my parents because they really seemed stuck. And my dad had started to turn to alcohol to, kind of deal with his pain. And my mom, was still going to church, but I didn't really see her moving forward or kind of developing her relationship. So after, another year or so, they just made the decision to divorce, which was really hard. That was another loss. And so my dad and I ended up becoming estranged. And then the unimaginable really happened. And 5 years ago, my mom decided to take her own life. And that one was just like, oh my goodness, God, I don't know how we get past this one. But throughout that moment, when I found out, throughout the days and weeks that followed, I just felt Jesus with me again, saying, "I've got you," and one step at a time. And I was like, I don't know, I think this one's too big. But one day I was driving by Glad Tidings, and I just remember very clearly hearing, "You need to come here." From the moment I stepped into this church and heard the words and the beautiful music of worship, I can't believe the transformation that started to happen within me. I just remember Pastor Tim, saying how, God is always in relentless pursuit of your heart. And I felt that. I felt like when I'd given up, Jesus just kept coming. And it's like, okay, one foot in front of the other, we'll keep going. I think once you get to that place of true and ultimate surrender, you're not living here anymore on the earthly realm. I feel enlightened, if that's a word that I can use, just for the spiritual knowledge that I'm gaining by coming to church, by my personal relationship with Jesus, and just the ongoing, the journey, keeping, true to the journey and knowing that God has a far better plan than we could ever hope for ourselves.